Have you noticed that every time you walk into a grocery store in America, somehow you leave spending way more money than expected? A few bags of groceries now cost what an entire shopping cart used to cost just a few years ago. Eggs, meat, milk, bread, snacks, even fast food, everything feels more expensive. And millions of Americans are asking the same question right now. Why are grocery prices still rising even when inflation headlines are supposedly slowing down? The truth is, there are hidden economic forces quietly making food more expensive across the United States, and most people have no idea how deep the problem actually goes. In today's video, we're breaking down the real reasons behind America's grocery price crisis and what it could mean for your financial future. Welcome back to the Dollar Pilot. Today we're talking about something every American feels personally every single week: rising grocery prices. No matter your political views, income level, or location, almost everyone in the United States has noticed that food costs are dramatically higher than they were before the pandemic. And the scary part is, this issue is much bigger than most people realize. A lot of Americans assume grocery prices are only rising because of inflation. But the reality is far more complicated. Inflation is part of the story, but it's not the entire story. One major factor is supply chain disruption. Even years after the pandemic, global supply chains still haven't fully normalized. America's food system depends on massive transportation networks involving trucks, cargo ships, rail systems, warehouses, fuel, and international imports. When any part of that chain becomes more expensive, food prices rise. And one of the biggest hidden drivers is energy costs. Oil prices affect almost everything in the grocery store. Fuel powers farming equipment, delivery trucks, shipping containers, refrigeration systems, and food manufacturing plants. Fertilizers used by American farmers are also heavily connected to energy markets. When fuel costs rise, food prices usually follow. This is one reason grocery inflation remained high, even after some overall inflation numbers started slowing down. Another hidden issue is labor costs. Across the United States, many food companies, farms, warehouses, and transportation businesses have struggled with labor shortages. To attract workers, companies increased wages significantly. Now, higher wages are not necessarily a bad thing, but businesses often pass those extra costs directly onto consumers through higher prices. That means Americans end up paying more at the checkout line. There's also a growing problem with corporate concentration. A surprisingly small number of giant corporations control large parts of America's food industry. A handful of companies dominate meat processing, packaged foods, agriculture distribution, and grocery retail supply chains. When industries become highly concentrated, companies gain stronger pricing power. Critics argue that some corporations used inflation as an opportunity to raise prices even more aggressively because consumers expected prices to rise anyway. This phenomenon is sometimes called greedflation. Whether people agree with that term or not, corporate profits in certain food sectors remained extremely strong. During periods when average Americans struggled with rising living costs, climate issues are also beginning to affect food prices. Extreme weather events like droughts, floods, heat waves, and storms have damaged crops in different parts of the world. California agriculture, which supplies a massive amount of fruits and vegetables to the United States, has faced ongoing water and climate pressures. When crop yields decline, prices usually rise. At the same time, interest rates are making things harder. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates aggressively to fight inflation. While this helped cool some parts of the economy, higher interest rates also increased borrowing costs for businesses, farmers, transportation companies, and grocery chains. Higher operating costs eventually trickle down to consumers. Housing costs are also connected to grocery prices more than people realize. When Americans spend larger portions of their income on rent, mortgages, insurance, and utilities, food inflation feels even more painful psychologically. Even small grocery increases feel overwhelming when household budgets are already stretched thin. This is why many middle-class Americans now feel financially stressed despite earning decent salaries. And perhaps the biggest issue is that wages are not keeping pace with real living expenses for many households. As a result, millions of Americans feel like they are working harder while falling behind financially. Another interesting trend is consumer behavior. Many Americans are changing the way they shop. People are buying fewer name brand products, using discount grocery stores, purchasing bulk items, and switching to frozen foods. Fast food prices have also surged dramatically in America. What used to be considered cheap food no longer feels cheap to many families. This shift is changing the entire consumer economy. Now here's the important question: will grocery prices ever go back down? Historically, once prices rise significantly, they rarely return to previous levels unless there's a major economic recession or deflationary event. Instead, what usually happens is that prices stabilize while wages slowly catch up over time. But that process can take years. This is why financial discipline matters more than ever in today's economy. More Americans are focusing on budgeting and reducing debt. At the Dollar Pilot, we believe understanding the economy is one of the most powerful financial tools you can have. Because when you understand why prices are rising, you stop blaming yourself for every financial struggle and start making smarter long-term decisions. The truth is, America's grocery price problem is connected to energy, supply chains, labor shortages, and corporate pricing power all at the same time. And until those deeper structural issues improve, many Americans will continue feeling pressure. Stay informed, stay disciplined, and protect your financial future.